You will need leads if you want to do great deals. It's that simple. So, how do you land leads to be a real estate developer? It's your team and it's you. So, in a prior episode, I talked about the importance of having a great team. And so, to understand how you land leads, what you must realize about real estate development, land development especially, is that it is a really small niche community, meaning we either know each other directly, we work with the same vendors and suppliers, and or we at least have probably no more than 1 to 2 degrees of separation, meaning either if you don't know me directly, you probably know my attorney, you probably know my owner's rep, you probably know my community relations specialist, you probably know my engineer, you know my architect. You kind of seeing a pattern here, right? Which is we travel in a same circle. The same opportunities I'm chasing, they're chasing. So then the question should be, okay, wait a minute. If all of you know each other, then how is it you're landing deal opportunities that they aren't already aware of? And I'm going to tell you the dirty little secret. It's because when you still hungry, you're going to work harder. When you still hungry and motivated, you're going to stay up later. And so ultimately, what happens to massively successful developers is, they become comfortable. Why? Because they've been doing deals. They've been making money for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Others, such as myself, are still climbing the ladder to get to where they already are. And so therefore, I'm going to work with a level of hustle, right? And ambition and motivation. That's a little different because I'm first generation. I say that proudly, but at the same point, I will be even more proud when my children's children are operating in this generational legacy, because I'm going to give you a very important hint. When God gives you a purpose or a destiny, it was not just for you. It was meant to be multi-generational, meaning everyone in your entire family, your children's children's children, should be operating in the same industry. So now, why doesn't that happen? Because unfortunately, too many of us in the last 200,000 years of human evolution, only for the last 200 years, so 99.99% of it, we've all been what? Entrepreneurial. But what? As life got easier, people got lazy. So instead of committing to building something, creating, manufacturing, growing something, they would rather work for someone else. But there was a cause and effect to that, which is you will never gain, maintain, or grow wealth being someone's employee, because the word job, as Robert Kiyosaki says, means just over broke. That's exactly what a job is. You can only grow wealth. What? Over 90% of all wealth is generated specifically through real estate and business by entrepreneurs, many of which don't even have a college degree. And so to get your leads, it begins and ends with your relationships. Because the reality of it is as you are growing and you are ambitious, you're going to take calculated risks that the big boys and the big dogs don't have to. Because with all wealth generation, there are two seasons. There's wealth generation, and then there's wealth preservation. I'm still growing wealth. The risks that I have to take are significantly higher to initially grow the wealth. And then once you grow the wealth, because you've taken quite a few risks, you now can afford to become more conservative, because now instead of hustling for the art of a deal, you're managing a portfolio to reap 8, 10, 12% annualized gains that when you take into account compound interest, you're going to double your net worth automatically in the next 7 years anyway. But I ain't there yet. And so in that process, I want you to partner with me by clicking the link below to join and become a part of Developer Nation. Developer Nation is an app where I will not only teach you how to do real estate development, we will partner with you, assuming your project is feasible and viable, in order to not only get it funded, but to get it executed, and wherein you will be an equity partner. You'll get to join the ride, the journey, so that you can learn in real time, boots on the ground, how to actually successfully execute a development, but you'll do it under guidance, leadership, mentorship, wisdom. Essentially, we'll be the training wheels in order to help you make it a reality, to likewise grow generational wealth for your children's children. And so now that we understand that the very team you need to execute your project is the very team who will best be able to provide you leads and resources, now you have to do something very important, right? If you want to be effective in lead generation, which is you as the developer must lead. Habakkuk 2:4 says it best. Write the vision down, make it plain, so those who hear it will run with it. That teaches us a lot about leadership, about success, about business, and it's this. My late great mentor, Dr. Miles Monroe, says something very powerful. He said, the leader is simply the one who has the vision. The leader is simply the one who has the vision. Here's where we are. Here's where we're going. Here's how we're going to get there. That is the role that I serve in all of my enterprises and all of my development projects. I am the leader. And facking, not capping, I'm the least smart in the room, truth be told. But the difference is I don't have limiting beliefs. The difference is I understand that God chooses the foolish things of this world to confound the wise. Now, what does that mean? Why would God choose the foolish things of this world to confound the wise? Because here's the difference. I know none of my experience. I know none of my education. I know none of my relationships is enough to get me to where I am, want to be, and need to be. I know through utter faith and reliance, persistence, patience, prayer, that I can get there as long as he is directing and ordering my steps. Because the good book also tells us in Proverbs, right, that it is our job to come up with the plan, but God brings about the answer. And so what that basically means is, while it is my duty to sow my belief and to water my belief, only God brings about the answer. And so that faith and reliance means what? God knows he can use me more. Why? Because I'm always listening and I'm obedient and I'm reliant, because otherwise it won't happen. And that is the true mark of great success. Any and all great stories, great brands, great products, great projects that you've seen is a faithful man or woman who simply had a vision, had reliance in faith that it was going to come to pass, and was simply patient and persistent enough to see it through. That is the essence, the cornerstone of all success in life. But here's the thing. Only a fool want to go fast. That's why majority of all athletes are dead broke in under 5 years. That's why the majority of all lottery winners are dead broke. Why? Because they don't have the mentality or the mindset. Why? Because they new to this. They ain't true to this. So wealth gained overnight is gone by the morning. And I'm going to tell you something for full disclosure. Real estate is not a get rich quick scheme. Let me say this one more time. It is not a get rich quick scheme. Every project you will encounter will take 3 to 10 years before it is a financial blessing. You're going to probably have to starve to a degree throughout that journey. But that is the path. That is how great things are produced. That's how great things are made. If you look at any fruit or vegetable that you see, the seed that is initially planted goes through 3 phases. When the seed is initially planted below ground, where you see nothing of any momentum happening, it then has to literally die. The seed has to literally die and then break apart. It's called germination. And only then, with enough time, persistence, and patience, will underground that thing begin to grow, and then it breaks through ground. And say, yet all the while, guess what? Most of the growth phase, 80% of the growth phase happens underground, outside of you. So if you're not wise, or if you don't understand the practical reality of how things are grown, manifested, and created, it is easy to give up with discouragement. Why? Because you're trying to have faith by sight. And that is never a path for success. What? The moment I planted that seed, I am wise to prune it, protect it, water it, fertilize it, even when I don't see any growth. Because when I know I planted the seed, if I just sit back and wait and don't do anything, I am literally operating in foolishness. Because what? The evidence of it coming to reality happened when I planted, not when I saw it grow already. The evidence was when I planted it, because failure ain't an option. It never is, and not even in a project. And so in getting great leads, not only do you have to have a team, but you are going to have to be a leader who sees it through beginning to end. Why? Because failure ain't an option. Meaning, even if we don't get the outcomes we want on this project, we will on the next, and then we will on the next. And what? All of that equity, sweat equity, relationship equity, experiential equity, what grows, compounds, and blossoms. Next, for you to gain great leads to do great deals, you are going to have to learn how to sell. And yeah, selling ain't a dirty word. It's the most magical, most beautiful word, in my opinion, there is. Why? Because nothing in life happens until something is sold. If you look around in your car, if you look around as you drive about in your office, in your home, your patio, I don't know where you are. If you look around, everything you can physically see and touch was sold to somebody somehow on some sort of day. Yeah. So selling ain't a dirty word. It's a beautiful word. So you need to embrace that we're all selling something. We're either selling a product, we're selling an idea, we're selling a project, we're selling ourselves, we're selling purity, we're selling, we're all selling something. So embrace it, because it's not a dirty word. To be a builder of anything, to be a seller of anything, right, really captures this phrase that's a favorite of mine, is that the world belongs to the conqueror. I'll say it again. The world belongs to a conqueror. 99% of everything you see was built and sold. So to be a real estate developer, that is one of my highest honors. And so I want you to partner with our Developer Nation app. Click the link below, wherein beginning April 2025, we will not only partner with you to help teach you how to be a real estate developer, we will partner with you in order to get your projects funded, assuming they're feasible and viable, where you'll not only learn it real time, but you'll also be a back-end equity owner, building wealth for your children's children. And so last but not least, if you are going to get leads that produce to great deals, you're going to have to do something as a third priority, which is you are going to have to learn how to manage. So while relying on a team, right, and leading and selling are critical, equally, if not more important, is how you manage it. And so how we manage any and all begins first and foremost with core values, meaning what do we believe and why do we believe it? And do we believe it strong enough where if it caused a financial loss, we would still focus on that outcome? The answer is yes and always. So an example, here on the Builder of People podcast, we have 4 core values. Number 1, authenticity. Number 2, positivity. Number 3, boldness. Last but not least, transparency. So what that means is if by being authentic, if by being positive, if by being bold, if by being transparent, we lose money on a deal, I really don't care. Why? We'll get it on the next. We'll get it on the next. Why? Because I've never seen a man or woman do something great and it not lead to great outcomes. And so to lead, number 1, it starts with having core values. Number 2, you got to have a mission statement. And I know this sounds like a business, but that's what it is. We're developers, right? Number 2 is you got to have, a solid mission statement, vision statement, whatever your chosen phrase is, meaning where are we going? What's our promised land? So we can all know how far away we are, when we're there, so we know that we can now reap the spoils. And then last but not least, to be a successful developer in managing, you are going to have to be solidly strong on boundaries. Or let me put it another way. You're going to have to be solid with the rules of the game, meaning within your project, within your enterprise, here is what is expected. Here's what you get if you do it right. Here's what happens if you do it wrong. Why? Because the reality of it is you will never create great things amid chaos. The fact of it is, if I let my subcontractors show up when they want to, you think the project would ever get done? You think it wouldn't take triple the time, cost triple the cost? Because guess what? They have a priority, which is to work the project as slowly as they can to milk my dollars. And as I'll share with you in another episode, the truth is in life and business, especially development, everyone is constantly either trying to lie to you or steal from you. The same applies in business. Everyone is trying to lie to you or steal. Your accountant, your CPA, the customers, the employees, the manager, the vendors, they're all trying to lie or steal from you at all times. So this theme that I have in my life, because I have to, is I trust you, but I'm going to verify. And guess what? That is what core values, a mission statement, and your boundaries or rules of the game basically state. Basically says that I'm going to give you the tools and the resources and the responsibility and trusting that you'll do it. And occasionally I'm going to have to check in. So what does that mean? If I own the project, I'm going to have to what? I trust that y'all there today on Monday, but I'm going to verify by showing up. My employees, I trust that you open the store on time, but I'm going to check the cameras and your time clock. I trust that you know how to sell my product, but I'm going to listen in on the phone on an automated or randomized basis to ensure that you're adhering to the policy and procedures, right? So the interesting thing in life is we understand the value of it. Therefore, we have to enforce it if you are going to effectively lead, because leads mean nothing if you're not going to shepherd and steward the entire sales cycle. Why? Because it takes more money to get a new customer than it does to keep one. So my ultimate goal in not being transactional, but always relational, is to, if the relationship is a win-win, then I want to keep that by doing the right thing. Because that is what is honorable. That is what is in everyone's best economic interest. And so in generating leads, it's the team, it's how you lead, it's how you sell, it's how you manage. With the Developer Nation app, we'll get into the very specific nitty gritty in terms of exactly what are the databases, resources, and exact day-to-day practical strategies. But that is why Developer Nation exists. So I want to thank you as always. I'm Shaun J. Ford, a real estate developer and author. And as always, all things work together for the good of those that love God and are called according to his purpose. I'll see you in the next episode.